Hi, welcome to Punchline Talks, the business breakfast briefers. I'm Mark Owen. Each week I have a panel of business experts to review the morning newspapers, find out what's happened in their own individual business and their own individual business sectors, and finally, what's caught their eye in this week's Punchline. Before I introduce the panel, I'd just like to thank our fantastic sponsors, Hazelwood's Accountants and Business Advisors, and we really couldn't do the show without them. Okay, let's introduce the panel. Today we've got Emma Willis MBE. She's the owner of the UK's #1 handmade and bespoke shirt manufacturer. Her clients include Barack Obama, Pierce Brosnan. She's also the founder of Star for Soldiers. She's the Deputy Lieutenant for Gloucestershire, and we'll find out all about her business and how that's going. Today we've also got Claire Hester. She's a brand experience manager of John Lewis Partnership in Cheltenham. So we'll find out how John Lewis is performing, also what is a brand experience manager, and also her work with Cheltenham Bid as well. So welcome to both of you. And then we have finally, last but never least, we've got Mike Mellor. He's the director and part owner of Fellow Bicycles. Last time he was on the show, we spoke about Brexit and the major issues that they have, but also he is one of the founders of Life's a Beach as well. So we'll talk about that too. Okay, let's see what's making the headlines. Courtesy of the BBC. So here we go. Starmer, so this is from the Daily Telegraph. Starmer, Corbyn better than Johnson as PM. I think he'd say that, wouldn't he? The Daily Mail, Corbyn would have been a better PM than Boris, Keir claims. The eye, betting fast derails Tory campaign amid fears that more names will emerge. The Daily Express, thank you, you saved our son's life. The Daily Mirror, what are the odds on that? This is all about the Tory betting scandal. It couldn't get any worse one, could it? The Guardian, new blow for PMs. Former Tory minister says he will vote Labour. Also, England draw 1-1 with Denmark last night. The Times, Sunak vows to boot out Tories over poll betting. The Metro, what a flutter shambles. The Daily Star, here we go. That's all about Gary Lineker. I love the Daily Star. Okay, let's start with you, Emma. Thanks for joining us today. What have you picked out from the papers, please?
Good morning, Mark. Well, that beautiful picture on the front of the Telegraph of Olena Zelenska, which we just saw, and just the courage of the woman, and the admiration I'm sure we all have for her. Always, she looks so radiant, so composed. She's a mother, and just says, "I'm close to psychological burnout." And how could we possibly be surprised? I mean, the woman, she's so strong, and my admiration for her. And yeah.
Okay, what's the other stories you've got? You've got a few others there as well.
Story I haven't deliberately featured only women, but my heart does not have any other job. So this is The Guardian. And this is a woman, a female Sherpa, so a guide up Everest. And she was brought up, she did education, she still can't read or write, but she's the most extraordinary woman. She's now been the first solo woman to climb Everest. And there's a film being made about her at the moment called The Mountain Queen. And it's a very inspiring story. So I've met many Gurkhas through my charity, Star for Soldiers, and they're phenomenal people, absolutely wonderful people. So instantly my eye went to that because I have so much admiration for the Gurkhas, and obviously Nepal. And one of the Gurkhas I know is a double amputee. He has just been the first double amputee to summit Everest, Hari Buddha Megar.
Well, absolutely amazing. I don't know if you know, but I actually cooked for the Gurkhas as well when I was in Belize. I was stationed with them in a Harrier hide, and I had to feed around 30 of them as they were building this Harrier hide and stuff. And you're right, they were extraordinary people, really, really friendly. And every day I'd have to make them a curry, some sort of different curry and stuff. But also, I don't know if you know the thing about the Gurkhas, if they ever draw their little knife, their little sword thing, they were supposed to draw blood.
Yes.
We all used to panic if they draw out, but I saw this one guy draw out his knife and actually just went and peeled his apple, and we all went, "Oh, thank God for that."
Wait one more.
Called a cookery.
I didn't realise, but this is a complete coincidence. But here we have one.
Wow. Yes.
My father-in-law was in the Gurkhas. My father was in the Gurkhas. My brother-in-law was in the Gurkhas. So I've got this beautiful sword here, which I hadn't thought of the association.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely amazing, an amazing, and so brave
Yeah.
as well. You know, it goes back short. I think they've got so many Victoria Crosses and things as well. Thanks ever so much for that, Emma. Okay, we go to you, Claire. What have you picked out for the papers today, please?
Well, I'm going to start with a bit of a sad situation, but I think it's very, very important to recognise when you look through the papers at the moment. Very sadly, there's lots of stories about violence against women. What's caught my eye particularly is the realisation that acid attacks are on the rise, and acid attacks and threats have rocketed by 75% in 12 months, according to the Daily Express. They used to be associated with gang problems, but now unfortunately being used as violence against women. So very concerning, that one. On perhaps slightly a lighter note, but creating a lot of tension in Salisbury currently is, I don't know if you can see it very well, but there is an art installation outside the front of Salisbury Cathedral. It is there to draw attention to coastal erosion and climate issues, but unfortunately everyone's comparing it to a bonfire, or it looks like someone is fly tipped in front of Salisbury Cathedral. So it's creating a lot of argy-bargy there, I'm afraid.
Is that what art is all about, though? A little bit of controversy and things. Do you ever go to the art installations at Gloucester Cathedral? You know, some of them are absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
absolutely. The knife one with the angel. I mean, things don't have to be. Art can be beautiful, but also it can be provocative, and it gets the debate going. And obviously, the artist in this case, Hilary Jack, she's kind of achieved her goal because she wanted to draw attention to something that she's passionate about. Sometimes you have to upset a few people to do that.
No, that should have been, and we're talking about it, and there it is in the Telegraph at the end of the day, isn't it? So it's kind of worked. All right, thanks ever so much for that, Claire. Let's go over to you, Mike. Thanks for joining the show again today. What have you picked out for us, please, sir?
Well, amongst the football and the election, which just are dominating everything at the moment, aren't they? I've just tried to steer away completely. So in the Times, there was an interesting piece, Times Online, about an investment banker who's created a startup, and just comparing the pressures of investment banking to actually creating a startup, which I thought was interesting, because it you know, having been there, it's hard work, and I know Emma will have shared the pain as well. You know, taking something from nothing and having to raise the funds and deal with everything that starting a small business involves, with a very tiny team, is a huge challenge. So I thought that was interesting. Also in the Times, there was a piece about this cyber attack, which is potentially a Russian state-sponsored cyber attack on the NHS, which they think has delayed 1,100 operations and up to 2,000 appointments. And I just think, you know, that's a terrifying sort of other side to this whole war that's going on the other, well, not on the other side of the world, on the, you know, the other side of Europe. And you know, where's that all going to go? You know, we're so reliant on all things tech, from our utilities to our services to our businesses to our banking, etc., etc. And these cyber attacks sort of go a little bit unnoticed. I think to me they're terrifying. And then I haven't picked a sun up for a very long time, but I just thought this was absolutely classic piece of hysterical journalism about immigrants, and you know, clearly related to the election, but just xenophobic and incendiary piece. one of the lines in that 18 cities the size of Birmingham will be needed to accommodate arrivals by 2050. I mean, it's just nonsense, but a little bit terrifying. Sorry, it's gone very sunny, hasn't it? I'll turn my blind down.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, thanks ever so much for that, Mike. You suddenly disappeared into darkness, but maybe the sun can do that sometimes. And I think sometimes the media at the moment gets quite hysterical. Example of that is the England football team. We're all doomed now. They're all going to fail and all the rest of it. But anyway, thanks for a great selection. I know the pain of it all. Thankfully, I'm a Welshman, but I still support England. Okay, Emma, let's go over to you. Let's talk retail, because funny enough, you're all in retail today, so there's a bit of a slant on it, really. Emma, let's talk about your business. I'm going to bring up your website as well. So how's it been going now, Emma Willis?
Well, I opened in Jermyn Street 2000, just at the end of 1999. And before that, I had a business without a shop for 10 years. And that was just selling directly to my customers with a very small little sewing workroom in London.
Now, you're based in Gloucester, isn't it? How many people have you? I mean, you've got your shop in London, and you've got how many people make the shirts and manufacture the shirts in the city?
So in Gloucester, from Bearland House, there's 28, actually there's about to be 29 of us. We've grown quite a lot. We opened with 5 of us about 14 years ago in Gloucester. So we've actually now bought the house, Bearland House, which is lovely. It's just I decided it was the best investment we could make, because we're attracting such talented young people, because it's not at all like a factory. And so we can we make a beautiful product. So I felt the talent of everybody in there, we need to be surrounded by beauty as well. So yeah, we have a fantastic team. Gloucester's proved to be, for me, a really, really great place to employ, I must say.
And how is business at the moment? Because let's be honest, they're talking about the cost of living crisis. I know it shouldn't affect your product; it's very high end. Is it tough out there? How is it performing?
Well, I mean, it's often said that in recessions and times of economic trouble, then the higher end of retail is quite immune. And it's the middle market that really struggles. And I must say, I've probably been through this, I've been through a few recessions now since I began my business in '89. So we're actually very, very strong. It's Jermyn Street so London was where we mainly got our business, and online, which is obviously international. But it's predominantly, it's about 80% of our business is from one little shop in Jermyn Street in Piccadilly area of London. And it's absolutely buzzing there. It is a financial district now, so you have got people coming from all over the world to do their business deals, and that we have high-end tourism as well. So it's as strong as it's ever been, which is extraordinary.
That's great. That's great to hear. And I do love your products, by the way. I've obviously been in your shop and spoke to all the shirts and. Anyway, let's have a look, because the other thing that you also do is that your style for soldiers. Do you want to just quickly give us an overview of that as well, please?
Yeah, well, that began actually at the height of the Afghan conflict, and I heard a program on Radio 4, and it was a documentary inside the military rehabilitation hospital, Headley Court, and I was very, very moved by it, and wanted to do something to help. I heard 2 young men interview. One lost both his legs, the other lost his vision, both from IED injuries in Afghanistan serving. And so I wanted to try and do something to support in some way or other. So I started to visit. It took me about a year to get in, but I started to visit the military rehabilitation hospital, measuring all the patients for shirts. Started with a bespoke shirt, and then we went on to realizing that I realized they needed a new uniform for their new unwanted new careers. So we worked with M&S and Reese Suits, well, Reese, the label, the fashion company, to provide suits. They gave many free. Russell and Bromley gave lots of shoes. Lock Hatters gave hats for people with head injuries. And now actually the most important thing we do is reunions for the injured service personnel, their partners who have often become carers, and vital for, like Olena Zelenska, absolutely vital for their support. And so we have 3 reunions a year. One in one in the summer, which is about to happen week after next at Hatherley Manor in Gloucestershire. Everybody looks out and everyone stays, and we put everyone off in hotels. And then we go one in big family one at Woburn for the children, and then a big Christmas one in London. So that's the most important thing we do now, to bring all those patients who were at Headley Court together again. And it's, you know, it's 10 years ago that the war ended. We started the charity about 2008. So that's when the 2008, 9, 10 were the height of interest. So they really need to see each other again. So that's
and not being funny, you know, the war in Ukraine, you mentioned it earlier, Mike. I was reading something, it's like 30,000 amputees already, you know, just scratching the surface, really, isn't it? Absolutely horrendous. Thanks ever so much for giving us an overview of that, Emma. Okay, let's go to you, Claire. Obviously, how long have you been with John Lewis now? Since the store opened a couple of years ago?
No, I came in 2 years ago now. You're right, the store is into its 6th year now. And
Wow.
I came in 2 years ago when my role was created as brand experience manager. I know it's you're questioning, what does that mean? It's quite a broad remit. Basically, I'm the customer champion. I'm the eyes and the ears of the customer. I think, going off from what Emma's just said, that we're lucky in Cheltenham. There are people with pennies in their pocket, and that high-end market is somewhat protected in what is otherwise a difficult market at times. But John Lewis recognised that they have to be very close to their customer, and across all stores, John Lewis stores are very different. Each one is very unique. Obviously, the one in Cheltenham, we are on the high street. We are in a town where people use us for all sorts of things, much more than just a retail experience. So my role is very much to be involved with the community as well. I am on the board for the Cheltenham Bid. I'm very close to working with other businesses, and people come to John Lewis not just to shop, but also we are a bit of a venue. We hold lots of different kind of events. We support charities locally, and we have all sorts of kind of services. So, for example, we have a new Randox clinic on the ground floor, which is a healthcare provision. We have the flooring, which is new this year, which is very much complementary to our extensive home department that we have on the first floor. So we're continuing to evolve, and it's my job primarily to make sure that the customer needs are exceeded, and that we help promote what we have available to people, and that we keep close to what people want in Cheltenham.
And what would you say was the best selling? Sorry, Mike, go on.
Is John Lewis Cheltenham a success story for John Lewis?
Well, for the last financial year, we're very, very delighted that we received the accolade of Branch of the Year across the estate. Now that was achieved across all our metrics that we are measured against, no least sales. So we had a very successful year. We've had a very good 5 years. We're well placed in Cheltenham. I think we're well received. But I wouldn't say it comes easy. We have to keep evolving. We keep bringing in new brands and adapting to what else is going on in the area and what people are asking for. But yes, we've had a really, really good year, and we're really looking forward to lots of exciting things coming up this year as well.
How many staff work there, Claire, in John Lewis, and also what is the turnover for the branch?
I might not be able to tell you that, Mark.
Listen, I had a funny feeling that would be the answer. What about staff? Okay, what is your best-selling product in John Lewis Cheltenham? Can you tell us that?
Well, I'll have to give you a few, because we are what's called a small full-line format. So we're not nobody near a big John Lewis, but we do have all the different departments rather than just focusing on home, for example. So our beauty hall is extremely important to us. So that's what you see when you walk in, and we have lots of different brands there and lots of different services. So it's a place to go for you when you want your brow shapen, Mark, or if you want to have a facial, that sort of thing. We've got an very extensive offer there, which is
your target audience sort of built around people like Mark?
Well, yes. I mean, we've got lots to offer, Mark. Mark, you should come in for a personal styling appointment, and we can make you look very dapper for your holiday or your upcoming events. So our menswear actually is one of the departments which is very exciting at the moment. We've got new brands, and we are seeing a new demographic coming in. We're getting the younger gentlemen in, which is a response to some of the new brands we've had. So that's very exciting for us. But in terms of products, our tech department is on the first floor. Again, it's well placed because it is a go-to for all sorts of big brands. From all your little gadgets, and then we've got things like large elect, your washing machines and your ovens and that sort of thing. So people come to us for different reasons. We are very much a department store, and some people don't realise the full breadth of actually what we offer and what we continue to develop. So if you haven't been to us in a while, which we hear all the time, people came perhaps in the first year or haven't been since lockdown, please revisit us, because there's a lot of different things that perhaps you wouldn't have seen before.
Okay, all right, thanks very much. I did actually buy some pillows from you guys a little while ago, but very nice too. Okay, Mike, okay, let's talk about Queller Bikes. How long have you guys been going now? I'm going to bring up your website as well.
We've been in Gloucestershire since 2017, but it was formed in Cambridge actually in 2012 as a sort of micro business, and I got involved just before 2017. Then we moved it to Gloucestershire and had a bit of investment, and have tried to grow from there. And we've recently taken on a bit more investment via Danny O'Neill of Pro Cook fame. So Danny's become involved, and we're very much focusing on B2C, which is his strengths. Prior to that, we were operating through a number of trade outlets as well, which hits your margin quite dramatically. So with a bit of a guidance from Danny, we're very much focusing on the B2C side of things now. Revamp the website, and it's push. We're introducing a geared bike, which is a bit of a change for us, because our whole ethos has always been that very clean looking single speed. And yeah, just trying to sort of push on a bit. It's been very, very tough since COVID ended, and you know, so many bikes were sold during COVID, but it brought a lot of problems with it in terms of stock and supply chain. So yeah, it's been a tough couple of years, and yeah, the Brexit problem hasn't gone away. I mean, our European turnover has all but disappeared, which is very, very sad. In fact, it's easier to sell a bike to America than it is to Europe at the moment. So that's a potential growth market for us.
Well, okay. I'm just trying to get my screen back actually to get you all together at the moment, which for some reason, there we go. Let's talk about Brexit, because you were on the show before, and actually, I don't even know, but 3,000 odd people watched your video that you and I did going back to that Brexit thing. And it really hit a nerve with a lot of people, because you know it was a massive problem, and you're saying it still is a problem, is it?
Oh yeah, I mean it's really not changed for us. I think if you've got a product like Emma's, which is truly start to finish manufactured in the UK, you don't have the same problems as us. You know, you can sell into Europe fairly easily and without too much paperwork, and it is quite seamless still. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Emma.
Yes, I
Yeah.
mean, you know, and yes, so we have found, so I mean, things like Shopify, the sort of technology that one has now really helps. It does help. It all integrates with DHL. So all the custom side of things, you know, just happens at point of sale now. So a customer can estimate all the, you know, the taxes, which are all different from all different European countries, all different countries now. So that technology has done a good job at helping it to continue to be, well, as seamless as it is to export.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the big difference between us and you is, unfortunately, you cannot make a bike in this country from scratch. You know, we just don't have the manufacturing base to do that unless you're into sort of ultra premium pricing, which does exist. You know, there are companies out there, you know, hand building beautiful, expensive bikes, but we're a bit more of a mass market product. And as such, a lot of our componentry comes from the Far East. Therefore, we're not officially made in Britain, and therefore we attract duty in the EU, which has just killed our business. You know, before it was a very seamless process. You know, we could put a label on a bike and it would be in Paris in 2 days' time, or Munich, or wherever, you know, Rome, on it goes. But that's completely gone, and now, you know, we're faced with big duty charges. And
what sort of duty? Sorry, Mike. What sort of duty charges are we talking about from and the change?
Well, it varies, but yeah, north of 20%, plus massively high delivery costs. It's almost impossible to get a return now, so it's just gone for us. I mean, it really has just disappeared. So we're focusing on other areas and the UK market.
I was going to say the UK market, because I mean, you've got a very good website as well. All three of you have. It goes without saying, really. And it was a shame that Drew wasn't on the show, because he just relaunched his wine business on a fantastic website as well. And it goes to show. I've got to ask all three of you actually about the customer, because I hear a lot that the customer is more difficult now than ever before. They know their rights, but also they're very vocal and actually can be quite aggressive about it as well. Are you finding that the same, Mike? Is that the same for you? Is that the same for you, Emma, Claire?
I've got a bit of a theory on this, and I think it's to do with the downward spiral of good customer service, and the fact that people almost expect now to not speak to a human being. They expect their messages to go, you know, ignored, and they start very aggressive. So it's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil, and people start out really punchy. And actually, we find that when you come back to them, either face to face or immediately email back, and you're quite clearly talking to a human who knows exactly what they're on about, and starts to sort them out, they back off immediately and they become really nice people again. But they start off very, very punchy, because I think people expect poor customer service. And you know, I'm not putting any of the businesses that you guys are involved into this, but you know, we all try and deal with. I had a problem with my Vodafone account the other day, and it was impossible to speak to somebody. You're talking to a chat bot who doesn't know what they're talking about, and you have a nightmare, and you end up getting cross and don't get the problem resolved. You know, so if you can offer really good face-to-face customer service, it de-escalates very quickly.
But it's ideal then to go over to Claire, because I would imagine, Claire, obviously John Lewis is very high on customer service, but do you find that the customers themselves are a bit more aggressive, or you know, what's your take on it? We've only got a couple of minutes left, so very, very quickly.
I don't think it's changed. You always get some people who go far too far, but I think what we always say to people is, come into store. We do have a customer service hotline, but we'd much rather a customer would come in and speak to us, because Mike's right. When it's eyeball to eyeball and you're talking to a human being, it's always going to be a much better resolution, and people can just understand that you are trying to help them. So we would encourage that. But I mean, I'm very aware about things like crime and aggression in retail. I'm attending and doing a talk at the Crime Summit next Tuesday in Cheltenham, where there are episodes of violence against retail workers. It's on the rise. We are very aware of it in John Lewis, investing heavily in it, because that's when it goes, you know, far beyond what it set out to be. But I'd say be kind to retail workers going into a shop, and understand that they are human beings. But to level with you, most people are very lovely, and they're coming for a nice experience. But obviously some things do go wrong, and I know it personally at John Lewis. We invest heavily in our training programs and in our customer service training. We've done an awful lot more this year as well, because at John Lewis we know that is almost our USP now. That is what people associate with the brand, is the extra product knowledge, the customer service, the after sales care. So that is what we are very keen to maintain.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Claire. Emma, do you want to just add anything to that at all?
I think, you know, actually having physical retail and having shops still is so important. You know, people definitely come for the social side of it too. And you know, people tell you all their secrets. It's like going to the hairdresser. You have a very sort of nice abstract place so you can come and talk. And my customer yesterday asked me to add on a therapy charge on top of his shirts at the end of it, because he'd had a good sort of he'd had a good opening of heart. So keep the physical retail and the contact with your customers. And I think that everyone always behaves much better face to face.
Emma, I'm curious, does the shop still beat the internet for sales?
By far. Yes. Wow. A good retail spot. And I think that was accelerated by, not to go back to the pandemic, but you know, the hunger with which people re-emerged to come and physically shop and see people and talk, and was really notable, and it was really, I'd say, continued.
And is that visitors or domestic business, or I mean, obviously it's a combination, but is it?
It's probably 60% domestic, so UK. Wow. Yeah, it's still lots and lots, and a huge spectrum of people from all different backgrounds and careers, and yeah, people are still loving physical shopping. I mean, we do bespoke a lot, so I've got to be there with my tape measure and have a person there, and that therefore brings them to you. You can't really do that online.
It's funny. I was at the Keys, and I went to one shop, which is Pro Cook. Had a fantastic experience. I walked down the corridor. I bought something else. I won't say the name of the shop. It was a £70 shirt, right? And the retail experience was absolutely dreadful. She got my product I bought, fold it didn't even fold it, and then throw it in the bag, not talk to me at the same time. I would never go back there again. However, Pro Cook, I would have done it. Anyway, I did tell Daniel O'Neill that, by the way. Unfortunately, we're kind of running out of time, guys. So let's have a very, very quick roundup of pick of the punchlines. We've only got a couple of seconds each. Mike, what have you picked out from this week's punchline, please?
Well, I always look for something sort of cycling or sustainability related, and I saw this initiative about the free bike stands that Life Cycle charity are issuing to district councils, and the only district council in Gloucestershire to take up on that is Stroud, and they're taking advantage of these free lock-up bike stands for businesses. So I thought it was great, but it'd be nice if everyone else did the same.
Well, a little bit of lobbying going on there, I think. Thanks for that, Mike. What have you picked out from this week's punchline, please?
Me?
No, I said Claire, but Claire, you still there?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm still there. So I've picked up about your exclusive interview with Rachel Reeves, which is very exciting, visiting Gloucester. So obviously she is the candidate in the general election who's most likely to take the keys to the Downing Street as Britain's first woman chancellor, and she's also been in other newspapers this week talking about this is the last healing for women in politics. So a very exciting person, and as you've told us, a very vibrant lady. So I'll be watching her with interest.
Very, very personal person as well. Really enjoyed meeting her. You know, spend 15 minutes with somebody who actually get a chance to, you know, get a little bit under the skin, if you know what I mean. Really, really impressive. Emma, what have you picked out, please? Thanks, Claire. What have you picked out for us?
Well, predictably, but I love that factories feel a 10-year high. British manufacturers are foreseeing a boost as output and orders pick up. And you know, we've got a small model, but it's working really well in Gloucester. Well, by the way, we also welcome customers there too for the physical retail experience. And it was just so good because I do believe in British manufacturing, and it's the most valuable label for marketing. So I hope that our manufacturing continues to grow.
Oh, no, I couldn't agree with you more. It's a really good news story, that one. Thanks ever so much, my fantastic panel today. Panel. I'd also like to thank our wonderful sponsors, Hazelwood's Accountants and Business Advisors, and we'll be back again next week. So until then, remember, it's all in the punchline. Bye.